and welcome back to a very rainy here. You guys will probably hear it over the mic. A very, very rainy Wednesday here on Reaper Pro-Tips with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John, and my disembodied puppies in the other room. Oh, the squirrel, the sodden squirrel creeping across the back fence. Everybody is sodden here today. I'm going to move my barrier. I need it to be a little longer than it is, and it's just not. But hi everybody. Hi. Hey Jetta, long time no talk. And Shadow Raven with the 37 months. That is indeed a long time. A long time, indeed. Yeah, we're getting water. We've gotten water for the last 3 days actually, but today, starting like last night, like midnight-ish, it just started to come down in buckets and it hasn't stopped. Which is odd for us. It's very odd for this area. It's unusual. We maybe get one day like this a year. It's actually curving up like the coast. It's actually not a front moving across the country. If you look at it, it's actually, I looked at it on radar, and it's this little wisp coming up off the ocean and running right up the coast of California. Yeah, it's really interesting. So, something coming in off the ocean to get us. But yeah, it's quite impressive. Quite impressive. That's fair. It's been a while since I was organized enough to do many things. But yeah, Kiki was completely sodden this morning. David took her on her walk, even though it was pouring, because he's dedicated, because he's a good dog dad. And let me see here. I'm a little bit off kilter. There we go. I think we're good. But yeah, she was so, like, it got her so overexcited because it was so different that she actually regressed to being like a 6-month-old bitey puppy. So I had to have him feed her treats while I came out and toweled her off. So I'm kind of hoping that the rain lets up a little before Kiki walk time for me, but I don't know. It's pretty, well, it's tapering off. But yeah, see, this is what it looks like right now here. It's pretty cool. But it is quite heavy, and it doesn't look like it's going to be giving up anytime soon. Although it gets a little spottier soon. So maybe I'll be lucky and I have a raincoat, just in case. But, yeah, so if you hear little raindrops, that's because our roof makes them very audible, which I like. I really like it. I like listening to the rain fall. Yeah, it's good, Jetta. Super. Alrighty, today we're gonna finish up our friend the skeleton. The old skeleton and his buds. And then we're really going to have to make some decisions about what we're doing for the base. Decisions! Oh no's, not that. So let's get the rest of our non-metallic metal finished up, our dirty NMM on Mr. Skelly. Cloudy gray, brown liner. We're just going to do cloudy gray, and for the color we're going to add brown liner. We're going to add just a touch of brown because this is very dirty. I don't really want to add my usual blue tones because it's just an freshly unearthed skeleton. And I'll use the brown liner for shading. Again, because he's filthy and just crawled out of the dirt. So I'm going to build a little puddle of brown liner, 4 drops, thin it, probably 2-to-1 for this. And I'm going to do a 4-to-1, I think, with cloudy gray being the 4 and brown liner being the 1 to get my base color. And then I'll be pulling that over into other wells and adding white to bring it up, so that we don't lose that color going up to a pure gray. Still have some paints, rogue paints wandering around over here. we go. Okie dokie. Otherwise, how are you today, guys? It's Christmas is coming like immensely quickly, right? 5 days. Happy that all my presents are wrapped or in the mail, except for stocking stuffers. All right. Thinning about 2 to 1. That'll give us a dark gray. And I'm going to bring a couple of brushfuls over. I only did about 1.5 drops on the brown liner. I want it to be dark enough to be an effective shader. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yay, weight training. Oh, off work. Nice. Yay, off work. I am not off work, but it'll be off Monday, Tuesday. Remember, off Monday, Tuesday, because I'll have in-laws still in town. So I will be back, I will be working through Friday, this week rather, and then we will, so I'm going to make a really light gray, and then we will resume the Wednesday following the holiday. Yeah. David woke me up early this morning, which I was very grouchy about. Because apparently the rain was loud and he couldn't sleep. It's like, wait, isn't that supposed to have the opposite effect? So he's like hauling himself out of bed. It's super dark outside because of the rain. It's not letting any light get through the clouds. And I'm like, what are you doing? And it's impossible to stay awake once he gets up, because once Kiki is let out of her crate, she's going to grab my slipper and jump onto the bed and pounce me with it. Because that's what Kiki does in the morning. We call her the Slipper Beast. It's her Slipper Beast game. She grabs my slippers, or one of them at any rate, and she pounces onto the bed and flying pounces me with both paws. Because David usually, he'll get up early, and he'll get up before me, and he'll let me sleep until he comes out of the shower. So it is pretty amusing. But I got super pounced this morning. Could not sleep afterwards. Oh yeah, I closed out your pledge manager. Yeah, mine has been closed out. I keep going back and looking, and I'm just like, you know what? Because the problem is, like, I want to paint some of, like, the knolls and stuff for this stream, but I don't want to paint, like, all of them, so it's like, I'll wait for individual release probably on some of that stuff. Alright, just gonna test this color, make sure that it's about, yep, it's about the color that I had on that for the first thing. Let's get in focus. Little Mr. Skelly. But I got the paints, and that's like kind of the important stuff as far as being able to do like PDFs about them for you guys on my Patreon. Bring in a little bit more weathering. Well, finally, I finished my $5 PDF yesterday, so today I have to read through and edit, and then I can get that out for the Patreon. So I'm bringing in a little light over here just because reflected light. Mostly I'm going to get the bottom of that helmet edge. Because even though it's filthy, you like need a little bit of something to show that it's shiny. And then we've got pretty much light coming from the frontals. So right up here. So I'll just block in a line of it. Yeah, I finished the PDF is the how to paint a color scheme from real life on a miniature, or how to create a color scheme for a miniature out of a real life photograph. I used one of my Hawaii ones, which I took specifically for that project, actually. It was taken at the Buddhist temple that we visited. And I'm going to take a little bit of brown liner. There's a gash in this helmet that I missed the first time, and now I can see it, so I'm going to put that dent in there. Speaking of Hawaiian things, and Spam also fits the bill, so I made Hawaiian butterfish, which is black cod in a miso, soy, sake marinade with sugar so it caramelizes. I made that over the weekend, and like I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since because it was so good. So now I'm like, I think we need to have butterfish again before the end of the year. Our local little grocery store that I love gets it in fresh every once in a while. It's also called like miso cod and things like that. I think you have to open a new ticket if you've already closed out. I don't know. I'm not sure, Twistoma. John would know. I think you can still, like... You might need to open a separate order if you closed out a while ago. I know I closed out a while ago, and when I went in to look at stuff, I was like, well, I don't really want to... Alrighty, so just trying to bring up a little bit of light here on the front. We'll probably do kind of like a very narrow highlight because this is not a very clean helmet, and I'll be bringing in some rust on it as well. Yeah, so you have to make a new order. You can't add to your other order, Twistedoma. So I'm going to stipple in some more shadow. Yeah, because they've already taken the money out for the other order, so you'd have to do a new one. Yeah, I'm just going to hope things like the Hobgoblins and the Gnolls and the Lizardmen come out on in regular release soon enough. I feel like we're at, I guess we're at okay. Fix all that? What do you mean, Polly? I don't consider, I mean, it makes sense to just make multiple orders. When you've already paid, I mean, it's the same thing you'd do if you were ordering from any other, like, store. You'd have to make a new order if you forgot and already closed out your other one. Just gonna do a little bit of highlighting here and there. And I want to make this a little bit lighter, rounder. Yeah, you'd use your regular account, Twisted Oma. You'd still use your regular account, but you should be able to make a new order assigned to your previous account, I believe. Unless I'm just misunderstanding and your terminology is not like what you meant. So just bringing in a little more light on that side. Oh yeah, you don't want to make a new account. Yeah, because that'll raise the prices, right? Use the same account, multiple orders. Yep, yep. 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 Everybody else's. It's cool. We were just trying to keep you from making a mistake. Just in case your brain was working and that's what you actually meant. Just kind of looking at what I want here. It would help if I turned him so that he was actually the right way around. So I'm going to do that because I'll probably he would actually be going this way. So I want to make sure I've got the light. I do have the light correct, so that's good. But you guys can see better now. And I need to get my pure white coming in soon, but not quite yet. That's nice. We can see the light there. Yep, thanks Kodiak. This is of course our Ed Tribute. That reminds me. The presence of Kodiak in the chat reminds me of something I wanted to do. I couldn't find the Oh, there we go. Okay, so all the puppies are sables, I see. Kodiak. I wanted to actually find the litter page, but maybe I was probably invited, but I didn't accept it. That's all right. They're cute. They look very, very uniform in color. But they should be pretty dark as they get old. It's all right. I usually just get Mindy and I chat a lot, so I'm never on Facebook, so when I do get invited to groups, I never see it. So don't worry about it. I'll wheedle an invite out of Mindy. Assuming I don't already have one, I just couldn't find the page. Alrighty, and I'm going to make that dent a little darker there. Yeah, we're good. How old are they now? Are they 6 or 7 weeks? When's the LER? There we go. A little bit more dark accentuation if you really want that cut to be deeper in the helm. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, LER equals Litter Evaluation Report, and it's the assessment of puppies that we do at age of 8 weeks. We do a temperament test and a conformation assessment for each puppy before they get placed in homes. Okay, this is really fine chainmail, so this is going to be brutal. 7 weeks, born on Halloween, right? Yep. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, you have to come and share on the stream who you get. And then if you're on, are you on my Discord? You totally have to share pictures. I can give Vicarious Shiloh puppy vibes. Remind me when Kiki was such a little dumpling. Minifix, good deal. Alright, I'll hold you to that. Yay, puppies. Christmas dinner for me is going to be Thanksgiving for Christmas because that's what David's mom likes. And it's no skin off my back to do Thanksgiving for Christmas because at this point, I've made it so many times it's actually pretty well tuned. So we're just doing a little bit of, I did some stippling here, but really this chainmail is, if you've got only a little paint on your brush, you can gently go over the top. It's not dry brushing because the brush is still damp. And you're not like doing this big stroke or anything. You've got enough paint on your brush, but you've also got little enough paint on your brush that's not going to go down into the cracks. I probably should ask David if we're supposed to pick up pie as well. We probably are. So we don't want to bring this up all the way because obviously our light sourcing is coming from the front, so it's just like reflected light back here, so we just got to bring it up but not as high as we're going to bring up that. We want to bring out the details, but we don't want too much. And I want to kind of put a line in between the face. The coif has a little bit of highlighting there. I made lamb stew yesterday. My cinnamon curry lamb stew from Morocco. It's kind of actually kind of an African fusion recipe, stolen from one of my favorite restaurants. But that at least gives me like leftovers for part of the week, so I don't have to worry about cooking, since I'm about to have to cook a lot. I also need to remember to get apples for making homemade applesauce. Hey there, Miniature Sten. How's it going? We were just talking about what we're intending to make for dinner for Christmas. I'm doing a repeat of American Thanksgiving because that's what my mother-in-law likes. And I don't care what I eat, so So we're working on Mr. Skeleton here. We'll be highlighting the bone on both of these guys after I get his metal finished, which is almost, I want to do some rust on that too, and then I've got to highlight the red back here. And this is the diorama, mini diorama that is our tribute to our CEO, my old boss, who passed away a little bit more than a year ago. We miss him very much. Thank you. One second, gotta mix up some pure white here. It ain't NMM without pure white. And I need to grab a good rust color. How about, where's my Namurio rust? It's oxide. There's a good Pathfinder color for this. Rusted Anchor will work, actually. So Rusted Anchor here, and then I'll also grab Oxide Red, so that we'll have those two. Those are great rust colors. Oxide Red is rust in pigment form, so it's oxidized iron oxide, so that's why those colors. Oh my god, CNOT! Holy crap, it's like double raid. Double raid! Crazy talk. You all get to hear my rain. You can probably hear it real lightly in the background. It's actually not a mic malfunction. It's the fact that it's been pouring rain here all day and I can hear it so hard on my roof. But yeah, welcome. Happy holidays, folks. Hope you're doing okay. I am Anne, if you have not met me. I work, I paint for, well, for myself these days, but I'm a freelance painter who also does streams for Reaper Miniatures. I used to be a Reaper staff painter and I created their paint line. The Reaper Master Series paint line. So, yeah, I'm here every weekday morning, barring holidays and weird stuff. And we do a rotation of 6 different models, so we've been painting a lot of different stuff. But yeah, so for those who have not seen a lot of what I do, let's go through our rotation. We've got our mermaid here. She's coming along really cool. She's from a past ReaperCon, so she's a lot of fun. And then we finished up our mouse, our undead mouse wraith. So we're painting his antithesis, the undead hunter mouse. So we just started on her, and then we've got Link, who we're doing a more elaborate base for. And he's also pretty cool mini, sculpted by Bobby Jackson. And the shield is sculpted. It's not freehand. And we're doing kind of a cool, earthy water base for him. So yeah, we do a bunch of different stuff. There's a couple more that we've been working on over there, but I just don't want to reach that far and knock things down. So, and we just finished one the other day as well. So yeah, and then I do my own stream as well on Saturdays, which is not going to be this Saturday because I've got relatives coming to town for Christmas, but normally it's around 3:30 USA Central Standard Time. And I work on bigger stuff there because my moniker there is painting big. So like we've been working on Crystal Dragon, who is really cool. Really love Crystal Dragon. So you can see his crystals are they're coming along. We're slowly painting all the crystals. Much crystals. So yeah. That's my stuff, and Quindy just spammed my stuff up there. So today we're working on finishing the little skeletons, and then we have to seriously figure out what we're going to do for basing on Ed here. I got a bigger base to put him on, so it's not just metal, but we have to figure out how we're going to like work this ground, if I'm going to do a couple levels, or raise it up, or if I'm going to do it pretty straightforward. Not sure. Legally distinct Link, yes. All the more ironic since I bought David's the new Zelda game for Christmas. And of course our Switch, I bought it with the Switch, and of course the Switch is late. But I figure the relatives aren't going to leave for a couple days anyway, so... Alright, so we're going to put a little bit of pure white going down the middle here. Because when you're doing NMM, you've got to have that flash of pure white or it won't look right. And that makes it, you can really see the light coming down. And we don't want to do the pure white on the back of the model because that's going to be reflected light. It's not going to be as strong. We can mix our pure white with a little bit of light gray, and we can still like hit things like this little detail on the back, and maybe lighten the coif just a little bit at the bottom. There. And maybe go there. Perfect. And I can go over the other side here and also bring in a little bit more light back here. But yeah, that's what we do. Hope you all are having a great time. And I'm just going to bring up a secondary band of light here again. When you're working on a rounded surface, you're going to have kind of reflections and light bending around it, so you got to kind of keep that in mind. And I'm going to keep my main light where it is, but I wanted to bring out that dent in the helmet too. Yeah, so the big question mark on this model right now is what I'm going to do for basing, and I'm still mulling it over. It hasn't, blorfed out my dent a little bit. That's okay. I can rinse out my brush, bring it back, and pull that paint right off there before it dries. So there we go. And I want to blend in this area a little bit. Ooh, the rain's a little lighter. Maybe it'll let up just long enough for me to walk Kiki at the end of this stream. Hey, Nora. How's it going? We're making progress on a skeleton. And we like to edge the helmet. There we go. Rawr. Alright, now let's put some rust and stuff on this metal, including the sword. Thanks, Nara. So we're going to use rusted anchor as our dark kind of brown rust, and then oxide red, and we'll mix in some orange to this to make our orangier rust. Rusted anchor is a promo color. There's also, you can use something like actually Auburn Shadow, which is part of the red hair triad. It's actually pretty close to this color, and it makes a good brown rust as well. You can also use the oxide brown, or oxidized brown, which is the triad member of oxide red. Super. Well, that's good. You'll get a chance to rest. Alrighty, so we're going to do some rust coming down the blade here. We're gonna bring it up along the groove. Pretty much rust out this blade down here around the pommel, because that's where moisture and dirt would cake on around that area. And then the blade in general would get more rust. So it's just little touches. We're just starting with that brown. I'm going to bring that brown enough layers down here so that it really Gets that color in there, and then we'll mix our more orangey color to really put that down the bottom. And we'll do some rust here. I'm going to actually thin a little bit for the helmet because I want to be able to kind of stipple it up in layers, just like rust would accumulate. So here I want to build up some rust anywhere I can see kind of depressions in the helmet. There isn't much room in the that slice, that crack, but on the other side where we've got an actual dent, that's a good place. All around this area is a good place to throw some rust on. So just get some of that in there, and then this dent. I want to get a little bit and I want to all around that little rivet thing, staple. This helmet is stapled on. This is not a great sign of quality. I guess if it gets stapled on, he can't lose it. So we got some nice brown coming in there. And I can grab some gray and kind of counter stipple a little bit if I feel like I lost some of my my gray and got a lot of too much rust. It helps to also randomize the pattern a bit. Go. And then we'll mix up a orangier color. We'll use oxide red, and we're going to add a little bit of a bright orange. You could use explosion orange, you could use sunrise orange. Okay, I've got explosion hanging out over here somewhere. Oh, that is not. That is definitely not explosion orange. That is a purple that got misplaced. There we go. Shake these guys up. So there's our two. This is explosion orange, nice bright saturated orange. So I'll do a drop of oxide red, and then I'll do a couple drops of orange. The oxide red is really strong. It's very heavily pigmented, so we need to add a little. We're going a little light around that, and I'm going to pop that in there, and we'll see. I may reconsider, since that oxide red drop was full of air bubbles. I may add a little bit more oxide. It's a pretty good rust, because we want that orange. Now, I'm going to want a little bit of white in this, because it's otherwise not very opaque, and rust is, it looks very cakey, it's very opaque, it's not see-through at all, right? So that's why I'm adding just a tiny touch of white. Looks really saturated on the camera, but it's actually a little bit more brown than you're seeing it on the camera. There. Adding the white will also help to differentiate this from the base layer of rust. So we're going to stipple that on, and we're not going to cover over all of our underlying rust. I'm going to kind of put this in the center of our rust patches. My zero caffeine is making the day very very hard to wake up for, considering that David got me up early. Need to bring a little bit more of my initial brown rust in so that I can have a place to put my brighter orange. Right in the middle probably. Just a little bit to show that the rust is caking up. As it cakes up, it tends to get that lighter, brighter orange going on where it's thick. There we go. Now I need to put a little bit of a highlight back here on top of. There's another dent back here that I didn't highlight. And again, we don't want to use anything that's too bright, but we want to outline the bottom edge of that dent back there. There we are. And I go back and forth with my darker rust and my lighter rust just till I get a pattern that I like, that is pleasing and feels right to me. I also want to bring in a darker line for that. It's going to be hard to see, but it's that crack right there. Sadly, to get it to a place where I can comfortably paint it, I have to kind of cover up the camera. Your cat is giving you prepaid for the puppy you're about to be introducing into its life, Kodiak. It's only going to get worse. Your cat is like, oh, you think you're going to get a puppy, huh? This is what I think of that. Cat vengeance. Alrighty, got some rust built up there, so I like that a lot. Alright, we actually need to do the shoulder pad. I forgot, but I also need to do the sword. So let's do the sword first. Then I'm going to turn it around and do the shoulder pad, which we turned away from the light. There we go. Just a little bit of real orange rust there at the base of the sword. Nice, Inara. Yeah. Yes, yes. Little do they know, Kodiak, exactly. Yeah, make sure your kitties have ways to escape. We used baby gates to make sure that our cat had, when I had a cat, that he had enough time, enough room to just kind of sit outside and watch the puppies. Gave him a way to get away. There we go. So we got some nice rust going on there. Excellent. Now we can turn the model around and get that shoulder pad. Or maybe we'll just turn him here and get the shoulder pad. But yeah, it's always my belief in our that working out only helps with health. Your body needs to have the signal that you're growing and moving and generally, like, you know, still alive. And that helps it to heal. I've always found that to be true. I was always back on my treadmill or out walking as fast as I could after my own hiccups. And we'll need to put some rest on this too. Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah. Good, good. Yeah, it'll be fun. You and your puppy. You get to get this this breed that's occupied me for so long. You get to experience it. They are cool dogs. They are really cool dogs. No, they're not cool dogs. Now you're just a jerk. On cue. On cue. Yeah. Yeah, the puppies, Shiloh puppies at 8 weeks are usually around 20 pounds, guys. They're not little. Come here, you. They can't fit in the cat carrier anymore. Kiki! Yay! Speaking of Shilohs, hi! When she was all wet this morning, it was really funny. Her ears were poking up, and they looked so tiny because they didn't have any fluff on them. Because the fluff was wet. The fluff was wet, yes. Hey, I don't hear rain, Keeks. Maybe we'll actually be able to take a walk and you not get sodden. Maybe. Oh, you're so soft. After getting rained on, my fur gets soft too after I get rained on. Yeah. Oh, yes. What a good girl. You have curly eyebrows and they're the funniest things ever. They're the funniest things ever, Keekers. It's true. You're looking very dignified this morning. She's a good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. No, you cannot eat my headphones, though. Those are very important to Mama. Here, I'll move them. There you go. Good girl, Keeks. There. We'll hang those off of that. She's a good girl. Oh, yeah. No, we're rainy. We're not, we're rainy and muddy. We're not frozen. That's the... Yeah. The dogs are like, yay. So I'm just putting a bunch of rest over here on that shoulder pad. And now that I can see this more clearly, I'm going to actually move some more rest up here too. It's a spell effect, but we're going to modify it. Seriously. First, I have to figure out how I'm going to base this, then I get to figure out what to do with the spell effect. I'm going to put some of my lighter orange in the center of all this rust. Kiki is about at her adult size now. I don't think she's going to change. She's 75 pounds and just a hair short of 26 inches at the shoulder. At least last time I measured her. But she's squirmy, so she's hard to measure. She's about 26. Just pretty much like minimum Shiloh. Female Shiloh weight and size. We don't really do weight minimums anymore because it was leading to people doing silly things like making their dogs fat in order to like meet weight requirements, which was so silly. So we focus on height rather than weight now. But yeah, this little thing, I'm probably going to cut part of it off and sculpt a better spell effect. It's just that, as I've explained, this is a metal model, so to sculpt a large spell effect essentially is costing the consumer money without, you know, giving a lot of value. Like you're really upping the price because you're adding at least one separate piece to do a bigger effect. And it's also extra metal that's just extra metal, chunk of extra metal shaped roughly like, you know, tendrils. Alrighty. A little bit more highlight on the shoulder there. But yeah, the biggest thing when you're getting this puppy Kodiak, the biggest thing that you need to remember as your mantra is this too shall pass. And also consistency, consistency, consistency. It's what makes a good puppy into a good dog. Or even a kind of bad puppy into a good dog. There we go. Alright. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, it's just at this, it's funny because it's at this point when like David is starting to see like the outcome of all of the work we've put in is to have a really, really good dog. And he's like, this was a lot of work. And I'm like, but it worked. She still has probably another 6 months before she hits her real adult mental, but then she still will have her little things. But yeah, pretty happy with how Kiki's turning out. All right, so got that. It's not really a lot of coif on this side, but there's a little. All right, I think we've got our metal pretty much done. I want to get this little red cloth at least highlighted a little bit. I don't care if it's dull, but I want it to be a little bit more red. So I need to reach for, go grab Dragon and Fire. And lots of socialization is the other thing with Shiloh's. Get her into a puppy class where they'll let her play with other puppies if you can. And then just make sure you take her out and have adventures with her when she's little. So that at least if you want to have adventures with her when she's big. Awesome. You're already there. Kodiak is a pro. That is the biggest thing that I think that Kiki would be a lot like Leo. If I stopped taking Kiki on road trips, if I stopped taking Kiki out and around, she'd very much become like an only comfortable in the house dog very quickly, I think. That was what Leo was like. And she reminds me a lot of Leo in the way she is. Because while we were doing lots of dog shows and stuff with Leo, he was a fairly good traveler. But when we stopped, then he very much quickly became an I just want to stay home kind of dog. You're more paranoid than experienced. Yeah. Well, paranoid pet owner. Welcome to the Paranoid Pet Owners Club. I'm a long-standing member who's invested a large amount of money into my local veterinarians over the years. The just in case. Just in case. Yeah, people get like that too. I was thinking that even as I said it in our... So yeah, if you want your dog... If I want Kiki to continue to be able to go to Arizona with me, for example, to visit my folks in the winter, then I need to make sure that she keeps having good experiences with that. Because these dogs really... They will just kind of bunker down and become like the dog that is great at home but can't leave the house, you know. Because shepherds are sensitive anyway to environment and that, and the Mindy's probably already told you this, but the worst thing you can do, Kodiak, with this breed... Oh yeah, Belgian Shepherd, very similar. So the thing never to do with this breed, if your puppy is worried about something, never, ever, ever do the, oh, it's okay. Never. Ever, ever, ever. If you do, I swear I will show up on your doorstep and I will be like that. When you do that, especially to our puppies, which tend to be, as I said, very sensitive, when you do that, you're essentially telling the puppy there is something to be worried about. Whereas if you're just like, oh, you silly puppy, that's just a flapping bag, and you keep your voice happy and you just are not concerned, like, that's the way to do it. Keep your voice happy or at least confident, and like, oh, silly puppy is your response. Now, you should never like drag your puppy past the thing that they're like scared of. Give them time, but you should never be worried about it. You should never be going, oh, it's all right. Because if you sound worried because you're worried about the puppy's going to think, oh, that flapping bag is Satan. So that's like the thing, is that it's all tone of voice. You can go, it's okay, you know, if you want to reassure your puppy, because you should reassure your puppy if they're scared. But you can do it, it's okay. Give her a quick pat on the side. Come on, let's go. You know, that kind of thing. At this point, Butts, it's probably a habit, so it's hard to cover. Like, probably the desensitization is what you'd have to do. Right. Never make a big deal out of it, or they'll make it an actual big deal. Yes, you understand, absolutely. That's 100% what you're doing. You can take the things you learned from your kids and apply it to your puppy pretty well. They're smart dogs, and emotionally, that kind of emotional thing is very similar. Yes, don't reinforce a scary thing. Yes. But yeah, Butts, it'd have to be a desensitization. You'd have to get like the dog's most distracting treat, and essentially like rig it so that your friend or your spouse or whoever is outside, and essentially be communicating, so when they slam the door, you're able to distract the dog right away. And you'd have to practice that again and again and again and again and again. Because once the dog is in the habit of doing that the dog isn't even thinking about it anymore. They hear the car door, they go off. That's just, that loop is closed. So now you need to, just like breaking a human habit, it's hard. You have to throw something else into that loop where you can distract the dog with something that's high quality enough that the dog is like, oh, all right, and that derails that loop. And you've got to do it over and over and over until you can replace your dog going off crazy because a car door closed outside to your dog running up to you and sitting and waiting for its treat. You know? Like, yeah, it is true of I hate to make those blanket statements, though, Mama Jama, because different breeds and different mixes do have, you know, and different dogs, right, also have different tendencies. So, but with Shiloh's, I can speak from experience. I've raised 5 of them of very different temperaments, and they all had that in common. So yeah, so in general, that's the thing you don't do. Don't do that. Don't make a big deal out of what's not a big deal. And give your puppy time. Like, there's kind of this weird, like, compromise, though, between, like, giving your puppy time to assess the situation and get comfortable and, like, just enabling your puppy to get even more freaked out. So you kind of have to learn to read your dog, which is that's the hard answer to many, many dog behavior questions, is, like, you've got to learn to read your dog. Know when it's time to, like, push forward, and know when it's time to not push and give the puppy time. You should be able to tell, though, if you encourage the pup to come on and they trust you, then it's lots of praise and treats. And hopefully whoever your puppy is, she'll be food motivated, because that makes it a lot easier. Yeah, but it's a lot of work, Butts, because once they have the habit, and then it's an uphill battle, just like with humans. It's the hardest thing to break those habits. I'm going to grab some brown liner. I'm going to mix it into my, I grabbed some deep red, or dragon red, and I want to just emphasize some of these shadows in the cloth so that the highlights will show up better. But yeah, so it's rewiring. It's the big thing with a habit is you have to interrupt the behavior loop. So the behavior loop is, the trigger followed by the immediate response. So you've got to, like, have the trigger, like, you almost have to be ready to throw that treat, like that piece of steak or whatever you're using. You have to be ready to put that in your dog's face, like, right before the car door goes off, and then, follow through the minute they look back at you and they don't go off with the car door. Or even if they only bark once and stop, that gets a treat right after they've stopped. Make sure that you treat for silence rather than barking, so you have to kind of wait for a second or two, distracting them, and then give them the treat for not barking. Otherwise, they may associate it with barking. So it's a complex training exercise. That's why with this kind of thing, I always recommend maybe find a good trainer or behaviorist to work with you, because they'll be able to assess your dog better than I can. I have no idea who your dog is. But that's how I would approach it. That's how I would start fixing that barking going off thing. With Shiloh's, Kiki will bark when she hears, she'll do a couple barks. Usually what I'm trying to train her is when I say, it's okay, or that's enough, then she stops. And then she gets a treat. Gotta make it worth their while. Or a toy, if your dog is more toy motivated than treat motivated. So there's our red. Cool, Agent Marvel, excellent. Yeah. Oh, not overdoing small things. Okay. Yes. And the other thing, is never encourage your Shiloh Shepherd puppy to be protective. It's a natural instinct for our dogs to be protective as they get older, but if you enable that instinct as a baby, you can essentially get a reactive dog. So yeah, what you say, Mama Jama? Truth. Yeah, our breed will definitely get there. Like, I've seen that happen. That's the most common Shiloh problem, is people. That's why we're kind of our breeders are often very leery of people who say they want to get one of our dogs because they want a big dog that makes them feel safe. Because it's that can be a recipe for disaster. So we're just bringing out those little folds there. Oh, it's part of the mini. You can see it's the front part of this base here. So it's all included. This is our little diorama thing. Dark Sword, Tom Meyer from Dark Sword had it. He sculpted it, and then they gave Jim Ludwig from Dark Sword gave it to Reaper. Yeah, I just need to paint it, and this is too long. It's too long and awkward to have it out here. I haven't glued it in place yet because I don't know if I'm going to leave it on the same level as Ed or like makes this more of a multi-level. This is just, it's not even a rearrange, it's just an easy place to stick it while I paint it. That still lets you guys watch me paint it. That and the never encourage jumping up. Like, or if you do, the jumping up should have parameters, and it shouldn't be like ever jumping up on you like when you're standing or moving. Like for me, I encouraged Kiki to get onto my lap when I asked her to up, right? That's her command. So then it's a trick. It's a training thing. So she doesn't just usually run. She doesn't run up to me and like try to crawl in my lap all the time, right? She will sometimes come up and nose me under the arm to say, I would like to come up on your lap for pettins. And that's all right. Then at least she gives me I can always tell her, no, go settle down or whatever. If it's not the right time or place. But yeah. But yeah, just always when you think about encouraging a puppy behavior, ask yourself, would I still like this behavior when my dog is 100 pounds? Because with a Shiloh, that's what you can end up with. You're more likely to end up with like 70 to 80 pounds with a female, but still, that's a big dog. And watch out for counter surfing. It's a thing. Make sure, get used to putting all your food way back on the counters. Stand, yep. Yeah, it is. It is. And also for this breed, for most members of this breed, I find that walking on a loose lead is a work in progress for the first couple of years. They kept that those pulling genetics from the giant Malamute mix that was introduced ages ago in the breed formation. Alrighty, so now we are ready. I want to polish up the bones a little bit. The bones are very dull. They've only had a single level of highlight, so I want to grab a decent bone color, and I want to mix up a highlight. Or I just want to grab something like maybe creamy ivory. Yeah, creamy ivory with a little bit of white in it will be fine. But yeah, and then, on top of that, just don't worry about breaking the dog. Like, if you do something wrong or bad, or you don't, you're a bad dog parent for this moment, you were a bad dog parent, don't, just beat yourself up. Just move on. The dog already has. Just do better the next time. We all have those moments as dog owners where we just lose it. And we're just and we do the worst possible thing reacting to our dog's behavior. And it's just like parenting. It's just natural. Just, deep breath, move on. Don't worry, you didn't break your dog from one missed cue or one bad reaction. Yeah, yep. Yes. Kiki doesn't pull as much with me as she does with David, but I also usually I have a lot more treats than he does, so I use them to keep her walking beside me a lot. I'm gonna pop a little bit of white in this creamy ivory. It's a really good highlight for bone if you were doing more yellowy bone. And I think this is going to be light enough. I'm going to add a little bit more white to it. I find that it's not necessarily, Caesar Milan aside, it's not necessarily a pack leader issue. Because, in other ways, David might be technically Kiki's favorite person, and he might be the person in the family that she looks to the most. But it's just he usually is juggling a latte, and the dog leash when he's taking her for a walk. So he can't interact with her and teach her that he would like her to walk, beside him here and there. Whereas I pretty much just have the dog and a treat bag. So but I would say there's no she definitely listens to David otherwise than she does, but he just hasn't worked with her on that particular behavior. Have fun, Mama Jama. Thanks for the input. Tell me, Mama. Yep. Yeah, and there's lots of people who do ski drawing with their dogs, and that's the dog tows you on skis. I told David that's like if we ever take Kiki up into the mountains when it's skiing time, like he has to try that with her. The problem would be making sure she didn't pull him into a tree. So I'm putting some highlights on little Mr. Skelly here, and we'll put some more. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just sometimes it's you just haven't built a rapport with the dog. Like the dogs are like, yeah, all right, whatever. Who are you? And that also is very dependent on the dogs and how hierarchy sensitive they are. Different dogs may be more like inclined to dismiss someone who isn't like it. Some dogs are more one person dogs, right? And if you're not that person, then they're like, huh? I'm just doing some quick mixes here. I want a darker color on the back of the skull, and so there. Just want to get a little bit of polish on that face. Oh yeah. You open, Drake. But yeah, I'm sure you do great, Kodiak. Especially if you can just leverage your raising children knowledge, because raising a baby to babies and toddlers and raising puppies is very similar. Your job is just to teach the puppy that the world is a fun place, and then to teach where the limits and the boundaries are. And remember to also tell your puppy when she's being a good girl, too. That's the hard part. I have to stop and remember that myself every once in a while. It's when Kiki is lying down and being really nice and quiet when I'm working, I'll be like, good girl, and I'll toss her a treat. Yeah, no, you'll do it. You'll do fine. And if you have any questions, you've got Mindy. If you ever want to ask me, you can too. Every person is going to give you, like every trainer, breeder, whatever, is going to give you a slightly different take on like their thoughts on a thing. Mostly, though, I just hope you enjoy your puppy. Do you have a name yet, or are you going to wait and see what her personality is? Here we go. Got some nice hands. Just do a little bit more highlighting on these bones. Gotta thin my highlighter down a little bit. I wanted it thicker for the fingers because the fingers are such tiny little pieces. You really want that. You don't want a subtle highlight there. You need to pop that highlight. But on the bigger bones now, I want it to blend in. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. I can't wait to hear what you name her. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, same with dog people. Every bit. Like, everybody's got their own, like, philosophy. Everybody will want to give you their opinion on what you should be doing with your puppy. Just kind of smile and nod and thank them and walk off if it's not your kind of advice. I guess it's probably the same with kids, huh? Everybody wants to tell you how to raise your kids. Is it like that? Because I'm, not having kids, haven't only had puppies. But it would seem to be very similar. Except that maybe people are even more inclined to come up and tell you how to raise your puppy. Everyone has opinions. Yes. Oh, and family are the worst. Yes, I can see that. Yep. Yeah. Well, if you're interested in dog behavior and you want something to make you think, my favorite puppy book that's like not one of the standard ones is called Control Unleashed, the puppy program. Control Unleashed itself is a program for dealing with like problem behaviors. But the puppy program like kind of helps you can help you proof your dogs a little bit. It gives a good foundation, and she talks a lot about like behavior and your dog's like brain and how they perceive things, and it's a really interesting book. She's got some YouTube videos too that she shows her own very well trained pack. But she's dealt with behavior issues in her own dogs. And I like how she explains stuff. Leslie McDermott, I think, or McDivitt. Yeah, Control Unleashed, the puppy program. Yep. Specifically the puppy program. You can get it in paperback on Amazon. Yeah. Yeah, having a good dog is work. Yeah, obviously, the other one, which is just a good basic. I don't know if you need the basics, but if you do, there's one called the Puppy Primer, which is by the lady who wrote The Other End of the Leash, I think, she's a behaviorist. And the Puppy Primer helped me troubleshoot a couple things. A lot of it's very simple if you've already raised dogs, but if you've never raised dogs, then you may find the Puppy Primer useful. All right, let's get back to these ribs. Yes, the Puppy Primer, I believe. I might have it. Do I have it over here? Oh, wait, I do. I have both. 1 second. Okay, so we'll show them up here. This is the Puppy Primer. And it's Patricia B. McConnell, and she is a canine behaviorist out of UW-Madison, which is my old college. And then the other one is Control Unleashed, the puppy program, specifically the puppy program. And this one is just like super, it's really cool. Like if you like my stuff, if you like the science behind like why we do what we do, This will teach you concepts that will matter. I wish I would have had that book. I mean, I managed without it, but now that I have that book, it's just it's really unlocks some things for you in understanding why some training works and some doesn't. Yeah, well, it had been 10 years for me since I raised a puppy. That's why I picked up both of those. The puppy primer is one that a lot of breeders will actually just give their puppy people with their puppy, because it's an inexpensive book and it's a good foundation, a good reminder. It's a good reminder. So like puppy primer, if you look through that, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. I remember this stuff, but it'll let you kind of get it fresh in your head. And then if you like the kind of like just the concepts of just learning like kind of how dogs process information, and how you can use that, it's the Control Unleashed is really good. And she gives some cool pattern games and stuff to play with your dog, too. All right. There we are. Okay, now I just need to bring the red. I'm going to fade the red out a bit with some of this these brown colors. But yeah, so those are useful if you feel like picking them up. Even just picking them up, I mean, you definitely don't need them before your puppy comes. You can process while you're dealing with your puppy. I'm going to try to make a little more brown here. I want to make a brownish color that I can use to fade parts of this red out. All right. But yeah, more than anything else, just have fun with your little one. Just going to fade out the edges of this cloth a little bit by brushing this kind of gray-brown over it to fade it. Want a little bit of highlight here. There we go. Hello. How's it going, Luca? I was just painting a skeleton today. Then we can fasten him back on the front of Ed's base. And we can figure out basing. I also am tired. My husband got up early this morning and woke me up too. And I also went off of caffeine, so which was necessary, but my body is still trying to figure out, like, it's still trying to convince me it needs caffeine. So, which is real. But other than that, you know, things are okay. Things are okay. It's a very rainy day, but it looks like the rain stopped for now, so I might be able to walk Kiki without getting drenched. But yeah, everything's pretty kosher. All right. Well, we finished just in time, guys. The skeleton looks really nice too for a skeleton. So I think we're good. We're good to go on actually figuring out the basing for this. I am kind of thinking about putting Ed up a little bit and kind of making this skeleton down a little bit like it is here. It's kind of like he's up on a little hillock and the ground is kind of tapering away. So we'll see how that fits on our base when I get that out next time we get to this model. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow is Thursday. What is Thursday? Thursday is the day we are back on Mises. The Mies versus Mies. And I'm going to work with her fur a bit. I'm probably going to do a glaze of purple over the top of it to kind of knock it down just a level to a softer buff color. And then we will continue on with our little mouseling. I actually forgot part of her hair there too, so we can work on that. But I thought about putting tombstones in Pendrake. I haven't decided. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see as we get closer to it, which means next week. And remember, everybody, I will not be on Monday and Tuesday next week. I will be on essentially, I'll be taking those off for family and holiday stuff. I'll just keep reminding you as we go through the rest of the week. Luca, I hope you have a good stream. And I think that wraps it. On time. Woo! Aren't we cool? Yep. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And be sure to tune in when we come back. And I will wish you guys a happy rest of the week and see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.